What is your concern with the funding, with the new funding model?
My concern is that the new funding model was rushed. This new funding model has disadvantaged a number of students. And Trevor, I will not go into a technical approach to this. Let us use the Mamamboga, the hustle explanation the nation can understand. A student taking Bachelor of Science in microbiology at Alupe is supposed to pay about 224,000. This student, giving you an example that I know, this student, because is in band 2, was actually given a scholarship of 112,000. That is the money that hit the account. This student was further given a loan of 63,000 shillings. This student is supposed to pay the difference. He has a single mother. The mother is a primary school teacher who earns 11,000 a month. The mother is taking care of other students. And therefore, this student, the mother, has had to fundraise through WhatsApp and relatives to get about first 50,000 to pay the difference, and then fundraise again to keep the student within Alupe environs, because Alupe does not have hostels to accommodate the number of students. Number two, the trouble with this system is the lack of standardization of the program. KU is offering medicine at 612,000. University of Nairobi is slightly lower by about 15 to 20,000. Egerton is lower by about 30,000. Does it mean that a doctor trained at KU, because it is more expensive, he is more qualified and will deal with expensive diseases, and the ones we train in the villages or in universities outside Nairobi charging lower are less trained? And number three, the means testing instruments, as Dr. Ingera has said, in my opinion, are a scam. Why am I saying that they are a scam? First, Dr. Ingera should confirm whether they took these means testing instruments through public participation to get the opinion of the dons, the opinion of the students. I am aware that the PS has met student leaders. Last week, met student leaders, and they are discussing the challenges that they are facing about this model. And my question is, do we do public participation before the event or post-event? And therefore, if we continue with this funding model as it is going to disadvantage our learners. You've been told that over 74,000 students are yet to apply. Dr. Ingera here knows, and the PS, that we had a cabinet resolution, and the cabinet was sitting in Kakamega on that day, when they said, do not consider the IDs as the requirements for learners who have not obtained IDs. Today, when you go to help, they say in public, they're not using the IDs. In private, the birth certificates and the index numbers they are insisting are not going through. A student applying with an ID takes a day or two. If you're using a certificate or an index number, you take about 3 to 4 weeks. A country that struggles with election over the country is the same country that wants learners to struggle in their thousands to apply in the villages. Okay. A learner went through secondary school without power. A learner in a town without a cyber. A learner without a phone. Yeah. If HELB has already identified through their so-called means identification instruments, why can they just proceed and fund? If you have said, I'm funding Trevor because he's in band 1, so-and-so in band 2, why are you taking Trevor through the atrocities associated with applying? Okay. Why can't you fund Trevor? Okay. And what is the wisdom in second and subsequent application? Does it mean that if I was in band 1 this year, next year, I'm likely to be in band 2, in band 3, going forward? Therefore, there is a serious need for the review of this model. All right. But what they must focus on is the parameters they use to place someone in band 1. It means a farmer in Kericho, a dairy farmer, who sells milk in terms of hundreds of thousands, who has not declared this income, will actually be in band 1. And a teacher, a university lecturer, who is earning the so-called 200, 300,000 with a lot of majukumus will be in band 5. Yet that farmer in Kericho is doing much better than the lecturer in some university or a teacher somewhere.
Let PS respond. There's quite a lot. Yeah, PS.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'll pick 2 issues to respond. And first of all, I want to confirm that Echesa is my neighbor at home. I'm surprised that he is so disinformed and misinformed. He should have come home and I would have taken him through the new funding model. But that said, the first disinformation is about the full cost of program at Alupe University. Because this student is in band 2, they should only pay 22,000. Bring this student to my office. If there's a problem with the way that fees was calculated, we are going to correct it. I undertake to do that immediately.
Okay.
Just a brief recounter, Trevor.
Yeah.
The PS, as we sit here, wrote a letter to the public. This is a matter of public notoriety, recalling all the fee structures that had been sent to the public. They are recalled. I have a letter dated sometimes, and she was to release another letter today on 5th. Yeah. I'm hoping that before the end of this discussion, she will release. Then they have instructed all the VCs to recall the admission letters. Why would they be recalling the admission letters?
She's here to answer.
Trevor, I was actually looking for that notice because I was very explicit. The full cost of the program as relates to the household contribution. Don't mislead Kenyans. You know, you're a learned friend. Most of these Kenyans, some of the Kenyans listening to us will not be able to unpack this English. As relates to the household contribution. That was in bold. So it is the exact same message I'm sending here today, that we have the full cost of the program, but the parent does not pay the full cost of the program. It is a household contribution. Perhaps you can read for us that line. Because
so you wanted the universities not to give the full fee structure, just to give what the parent is supposed to pay.
Yes.
But you haven't given them how much you're going to cover.
Yes. And
so how will they know how much so-and-so is supposed to pay?
The message today was very clear that we have extended the deadline for applications. After we close that portal, we shall then calculate how much the student will pay based on their level of need.
So these calling letters will not go out until this is done.
They are out. Because they have been recalled.
You're recalling them, but they will not know how much until you calculate it and say so and so is being paid. This much is being covered by government, and this is what the parent is supposed to pay.
Yes, Trevor. And
isn't that the most tedious exercise?
No, it is worth it. It is worth it, and it's the only way we are going to debunk this misinformation and disinformation across the country.
Trevor, if I'm misinformed,
you asked many questions.
All the VCs, all the vice chancellors then are underinformed and they should be fired.
I'll allow her to continue explaining. The next thing that he raised was the issue of standardization of the fees.
Yes. Again, I'm a student of economics of education. How do we determine the cost of a program? It is the inputs that go into that program. We are talking about the physical facilities, the lecturers, the qualifications of the lecturers, the reagents in the lab, the number of practicums, the number of excursions that students are exposed to. So all of these variables cannot be exactly the same across universities. And so for us to actually expect that the price can be exactly the same would be very unrealistic.
So on what are you basing the figures that the government is going to hold? Say, for example, if you say that a vulnerable person is you're going to pay 90% of what? Because if you don't have the standard figure across universities, how am I supposed to know?
So every university has calculated the cost. There's very little variation between those costs. So what I have presented here, for example, for medicine, is the highest. So I was demonstrating that no student will pay more than 30,000 for medicine if they are very needy.
So if a student is in KU and another one is in UON and there's a variation in terms of the fee structure, but you're paying 90%, this student who's paying higher then gets more allocation than the one in KU?
Yes.
Simply because of the school where they are?
Yes.
Where's the equity in that?
Not because of the school, because of the variables, the inputs that go into the kind of education that is offered in that program. And these will vary.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me bring it. Hold on. I'll give you a chance to ask them the questions.